Hi there, once again I am back here with another interesting video, and in this lesson 16 of HTML and CSS course we are going to learn about CSS width and height. Along with that we are also going to learn about an important topic in CSS, which is box model. Actually, the width and height, by both of these terms we refer to the width of the element we are styling and the height of the element we are styling respectively. And there is another property used in CSS, the maxed width property. It decides what would be the maximum width of an element, and element would not be able to exceed that width. The values that height and width properties may accept contain this following list. It could be auto. This is the default value of height and width properties. In this value, the browser automatically calculates the height and width of the element. The second format that we can give the value for height and width could be the length, and this length is given in CSS units like pixels and centimeters, etc. As I told you in our previous videos as well, that we are going to learn about these units in our upcoming videos, but for now you just have to get the depiction that what is the method of using these units. And the third way of providing the value for height or width is the percentage, and this percent value describes the portion or the actual height or width of the element that we want to describe or give as the width. Actually, in this percent value, it gives the width to the element according to its parent element's width. And the initial format, the next format of giving value for height or width, it gets the value for height and width of an element to its initial point. And another format, which another predefined value for height or width, is inherit. And in this inherit, the element would actually inherit the height or width of its parent element. So here is an example of height and width properties. In this example, we have given it the height of 200 pixels. So its height would be 200 pixels, and the pixel is a CSS unit. Whereas for width, we have given it 50%, which means that it would contain the 50% of width of its parent element. And in next property, this property, we had learned this property in our previous lesson, which is border background, and it is given a value of predefined color. Let us see it in our editor and see how does it affect the style of our div. So here are our files from our previous lessons. So for this lesson, I am going to create another file, lesson 16 CSS width and height.html. Now I am going to create a boilerplate, and in this I am going to give it the title of width and height. For providing or giving the styles, I am going to create a div. This is practice div, and to give it our style, I am going to use the internal style. And if you don't know what is the internal or external style, you can shift to our previous lessons. We have discussed each and every aspect of styling right there. And for this div, I am going to give it the style down. Now for width, we are going to give it the width of 300 pixels for practice, and for height, let us give it the height of 300 pixels and the width of 50%. Right, in order to see the width and height of our element, I am giving it the background color of orange so that we may visualize that what is the difference of this style. Now I am going live to our browser. Right here, as you can see, this is our div, and it is containing the width, the 50% width of its parent element and the height of 300 pixels. So this was the example for height and width. After this, we would come to the max width property. As I told you earlier as well, that max width property is used to specify the maximum bound for the width of an element. The element would not be able to exceed that width while that style is applied to it. So this max width property also takes the same formats of properties, and it is by default set to none, which means that there is no maximum width for an element by default. We have to specify an element explicitly if we want to give it that max width. So right here we are giving it the 50% width of our whole body or the whole parent element. If we want it to have the width of 50%, but we don't want it to exceed 200 pixels at any cost. So for that we are going to use max width 30 pixels maybe, and right here as you can see it's 30 pixels. So let me increase it a bit for showing you another aspect of it. So right here as you can see it is 300 pixels for max width. So let us go to inspector and see another aspect of it. So as you can see right here that it is not exceeding 300 pixels. It is not exceeding 300 pixels. But when I reduce the width of the viewpoint, as its actual width, the 50% of our main parent of it is smaller than the 300 pixels, then it would give it that width because it is now smaller than that, and it would not ever give it any width exceeding that max width property value. I think so that you have got the idea behind this example. After this, we are going to talk about very important topic about learning the style of elements in CSS, and that topic is box model. It is used actually to talk about design and layout of our elements. It consists of the content, the actual content of the element, and the margin, border and padding. Right here in this picture as you can see, this is our content, this is the padding. After content, the padding wraps it and the border wraps the padding, and the margin is the outermost portion of this box model. Let us talk about each individual element listed here. First of all, the content of a box or the element is the text or image that appears inside that element. And the second, padding. The padding is the space which is provided inside the border and outside the content, which means it is the space between the content and the border. And as the border, we talked about it in our previous lesson, border is a line that is around our padding, our content and padding. After that border, there is margin, which is the external space outside all of this element. So for demonstrating it, let's take this example in which the width is 300 pixels, border is 15 pixels solid green, padding 50 pixels and margin 20 pixels. Let us give it the width of 300 pixels, the border of 15 pixels solid green, and for padding I am going to give it 50 pixels, padding 50 pixels and margin 20 pixels, for example, solid green. So as in our editor you can see, this is the main content, As inside div we wrote it, this is the content of this element. And this padding of 50 pixels, as in our picture, in our CSS model picture, we saw that after content there comes the padding, and so this is the padding around it. And after our padding comes the border, which is 15 pixels solid green, and this is 15 pixels solid green. And after padding after the border we gave it the margin, which is 20 pixels, as you can see, and this is the margin around it. So that's it for this video. I hope you liked the content. If you liked it, then press the thumbs up button. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.